Welcome to Paranormal Heart, a place where people can talk about their paranormal experiences. With your host, Kat Ward.
Welcome, my friends, to Paranormal Heart Podcast, a safe place to talk about your paranormal encounters. I'm your host, Kat Ward. In episode 122, my special guests are Carol and Crystal from Ghost Hunting Housewives. Carol and Crystal talk about how they started out in the paranormal, some of the interesting cases they've investigated, and their near-death experiences where the same entity showed itself to them during their accidents that occurred exactly 7 years apart. They also share with us how they are connected beyond time. If you have any stories related to paranormal experiences like ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, extraterrestrials, local legends, or your psychic gifts, I would love to hear from you. You can be a guest on the show and share your stories, or you can send me your real story for me to narrate on the show. You can reach out to me at paranormalheart13@gmail.com. If you want to remain anonymous, I will make sure not to mention your real name. The new episodes of the show are released on the second and last Sunday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Podbean, and all major podcast platforms. If you wish to support the show, please share it with others, like each episode, and don't forget to leave a review. It will help us reach more people and make them realize that they are not alone in their paranormal experiences. Additionally, you can now find Paranormal Heart Podcast merchandise on Teepublic. You can buy mugs, t-shirts, hats, and more. So please share the Teepublic link with others. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, ladies. Welcome to Paranormal Heart Podcast.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Hi.
I'm so happy to have you here. So I'd like to start off with you two introducing yourselves, and who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm Crystal, founder of Ghost Hunting Housewives. Carol and I have been investigating the paranormal for 22 years, almost 23 years. We started Ghost Hunting Housewives in 2020 after just turning what was a normal, fun vacations and, research and just having fun into a business. And so we started in 2020 with Ghost Hunting Housewives. I started having experiences with the paranormal when I was little, 3 to 4. So my entire life, I was able to freely express the gifts that I had, which is very unusual here in the southern states. We weren't allowed to show our gifts outside of the home, but we were openly able to inside the home.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I was able to embrace and be able to embrace my gifts, and I was raised by my grandparents. So my grandmother also had gifts as well as my aunts. And so they were able to help me and guide me on how to, protect myself and, how to utilize my gifts. And so it was just a normal day-to-day life for me. And Carol and I met in the early 2000s. And we instantly became best friends.
Nice.
And we just started talking about, things that had happened to us in our lives. And it just, we started doing, this is someplace we want to go. And then we'd go, or this is another place. And we'd just travel all over and do what we wanted to do.
Nice. I'm happy that you had the support from your family with your gifts, because we all know that when a child does have special abilities and the family does not want to acknowledge them, it can be really difficult for that child, and they can grow up to kind of have like a PTSD kind of thing as an adult because of their gifts.
Definitely. And, you know, mine has passed on, and my daughter, it skipped her. She says, I have no gifts at all. But my son, my youngest, he also has gifts and has since he was a baby. And we're actually talking about this with another friend earlier today about the things that he would say when he was 2 and 3 that was like, that's strange. Who are you talking to?
Oh, that's interesting. What sort of things would he say?
We lived we're military, so we lived in
Me
a
too.
location in Maryland, and my husband's active duty Air Force, and so we were located at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, and we lived off base in a town just south of Annapolis, Maryland, over on the Bay side, and he would start talking to things at 2 years old that was just jabber until things would start making sense. And Carol was there one day, and he looked at her and he said, "Hey, K-Bro, you see the ghost? It Pookie ghost."
Oh, how can you be creeped out by such a cute little saying?
I know.
Exactly. So he would go, we lived there for a couple years, and then we bought a home in Waldorf, Maryland. And that house, none of the houses were old or anything, but he was picking up on travelers is what I call them. And so when we moved to the Waldorf house, we had a little girl spirit named Elizabeth. And Elizabeth and him became friends, and they played often. He even asked for a dollhouse one year for Christmas for her. And so he would talk about things that were not of this time. And since he first started talking, he'd never talked with an English American accent. It was always a British accent.
Oh, wow.
So, he would always call like the trunk of a car is called a boot. And he would say, instead of a closet, it's a wardrobe. And he would talk about how he died in his previous life. And the way he explained it, I actually contacted a psychic medium friend of mine in Ireland, and he explained it, your son died in 1920s during the war. I'm like, what? That's weird.
Yeah.
He came back.
When we go to places, we have to call him because he likes to look around and tell us what's going on.
Oh, that's amazing. Really How old is he now?
He's 9. He turned 9 last month. So he'll help me go through evidence and analyze things. If he sees something that I didn't catch, he's like, "Oh, Mom, go back, look at that." And we'll go back and watch it. And he's been raised with it. So with him, it's just, no big deal.
Yeah. Now, when that first started, were you living on base?
When it first started, we were living on Joint Base Andrews in base housing.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Because I don't know. My husband is also active Canadian Army. He's getting ready to retire next year, but we call them PMQs up here. I don't know what you call them down in the States. It's the military housing. And there's a lot of activity because you have so many families moving in and out with so many emotions.
That's true. And we lived in, the officers' quarters in Albuquerque, New Mexico at one time. It was the old officers' quarters and the oldest housing in Kirtland Air Force Base. And we had a lot of travelers that came through there, and they loved messing with my husband. So when I wasn't around, they would do things that would, make him a little uneasy.
I can imagine.
But it was usually when I wasn't there. or if we got into an argument over something. And usually around the time of moving locations, because it's so tasking with and it depletes your energy already.
It
but
does.
when you have gifts and you're, trying to shuffle all of these things around and your energy's depleted already, that's usually when the arguments happen the most,
Yeah.
with anyone.
Yeah.
And so then you add on the gifts of the individual and it's like, oh, out of this world. And that's usually when my close spirits that stay with me, they make their presence known. Like I'll go up to bed or something and they'll flip something over in the kitchen and he's like, you're not even gonna check on me to see if I'm okay? Like, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
It's funny how some of us can actually accept all these things happening and it's no big deal. And other people, they could just have a cupboard door open and they swear it's demons.
And that's, I was actually talking with a friend of mine this morning about that. It's, out of the years that Carol and I have done this together, we started right when, it got really big on TV. Well, it wasn't even really big. The first season of Ghost Hunters, we started a little bit before that. And for us, things have evolved so much since then. And so many things have been, experienced or, there's experiments going on that weren't going on 22 years ago. But things have evolved, and it's sad when you get on social media and everyone's claiming that, these scratches are demonic or, we don't do that.
Good.
We don't do that. I've come home with scratches, and like I tell, there's, for us, the way we look at it is it takes so much energy sometimes for a spirit to interact with us. And sometimes they've pulled so much energy that they don't know. You know what I mean? Like kids. I look at it like kids because, they're coming up and they're smacking you on your chest and your stomach and everywhere. Mama, mama, mama. And they don't know that they're their own strength. And sometimes it starts to sting. And I think of that when we're investigating is that we're alive, but they aren't. So they don't know how much energy they're using to try to get our attention and to try to communicate with us. I've been touched. I've been, I've come with scratches and things like that. But did it bother me or did I feel affected by that? No, I didn't.
No.
So,
I always tell people these entities, I feel that they know that we're there and we could potentially hear and see them and they're trying to communicate and they must get so frustrated when we're clueless. So that's why they start moving remote controls or they're slamming cupboard doors open. They're just, they're frustrated. So I always tell people it's not always something negative. It could just be because they're frustrated.
Yeah. And, when we go into locations, we have had, things happen and I have felt uneasy, but I've never felt anything that was dead set, no pun intended, on harming us. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just, we've had, more of a darker spirit, nothing, but you could tell they were mischievous. I wouldn't even say malicious, but mischievous.
Yeah.
Looking to try to communicate, and we actually showed some type of reaction to that. And, so it's been a fun almost 23 years.
Wow. And Carol, how did all the paranormal start off with you? Did you also have abilities and have experience from a young age?
I had experiences from a young age. I didn't realize what they were. As I always say, I just thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
and I grew up in the 70s and my parents were young, as well. I was straight out of Vietnam and, things like that. So they were more of like, in their partying younger years, their early 20s. So we lived in an old house, very old house. And things would happen And I just really never said anything because, like I said, they were young, partying all the time. So they would have been like, oh, yeah, I saw that, whether they saw it or not, probably. But and then we moved to Florida when I was five or 6 years old. And things still happened. But like I said, I didn't understand what they were until I met Crystal. And like we always say, then I figured out either I'm not crazy or she's crazy too. And we're both crazy.
We just live in this crazy world together.
Yeah.
Or we were drunk, one or the other.
Yeah. Well, I really didn't have a clue. I didn't know, what was going on. So
that must have been interesting for you to be able to start learning more about what your abilities were.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was very interesting. And also the fact, like I say, I knew I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's able to actually feel how people have passed away. And that has been a major learning curve for her.
I can imagine. Yeah. Is that an ability you've always had?
I can't, I have a hard time remembering like long ago, but yes, but I couldn't be like exactly when it started, because I didn't pay attention to it. I wasn't
aware.
Sure, what it was. So like I said, I just thought I was crazy.
Yeah, and when you don't have anyone around you to say, oh, no, you have abilities, and you just don't talk about it, and you kind of shrug it off and think, okay, well, I don't want to talk about this to anybody else, and you accept that you're seeing these things. Is that what happened? And you just, like you said, you thought you were crazy.
Well, like in the house in Alabama, I saw things, but to be honest, I think everybody did, and nobody said anything.
Right.
And like me and Crystal have discussed before, believe my mother probably has abilities and her mother as well, because my grandmother is a very religious Catholic woman. And
so was my mother. Yep.
Yeah. And so when, this came about, what Crystal and I are doing, I was ready for her to, just let me have it. But she would
shut us down.
Yeah, shut us down, because she's that kind of woman. But no, she was fine with it. And then, that was kind of weird. So I was
she's gone on investigations with us and everything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she, they like her, like my mom. And so she's got some strange things going on at her house, and which have actually picked up because both of her parents have passed now. My grandmother passed last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Last November.
Last year. Gosh.
Last November.
It's almost been a year. That's crazy.
Wow.
But, so nobody freaked out when me and Crystal went public. So I think, there's something going on with the other two women in my life.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting, and it's with Carol and I, our experiences we've had over the years, we're connected on a soul level, and we have been for multiple lives. We've recently found that out. We found out that we are distantly related by blood, and then we found out that we've lived more than 7 lives together. That we always seem to find each other. We're soul sisters.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we can finish each other's conversations. We can be texting something to each other at the same time. We've Googled something and we're sending the Google links to each other. It's the same one.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
It even goes down to we both had car accidents where we both had near-death experiences.
At the same time?
They were exactly 7 years apart.
Oh, wow.
But we had the same near-death experience. The same spirit, I guess?
The same guide, yep.
Guide, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel comfortable talking about your near-death experiences?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Carol, do you want to start?
I actually, the only thing I remember out of the whole wreck was just begging someone to get me out of the car because I couldn't breathe. And there was a man at my window, or I can't really say a man because it was more like just a black silhouette.
Yeah, he was
Very,
dark
very
shadow.
large. Yeah, a very dark shadow. And it just made me feel at ease because it kept telling me, everything is okay. You're going to be okay. There's someone coming. And that's it. That's all I remember.
Oh, wow. And there was
Yeah.
no one on the scene?
No. One police officer.
Yeah.
And this was like at almost 5 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, one police officer, and he said, he never said that. I was, I guess, pretty much passed out by the time he got to my car.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was the only thing I remember, just a dark figure telling me everything would be all right. But it made me feel better. I wasn't as scared or whatever, but I guess maybe he put me to sleep because that's it. I was out. Next thing I remember is Crystal in the emergency room with me.
Oh.
Because I was the last person she had called. And so they had called me, and then I started making phone calls around to the family. Cause again, we're connected. So, her family's my family was her family.
Yeah.
And I was only 2 miles from her when she had her car accident, asleep. And I was supposed to be with her that night, and I just really didn't feel well. I didn't feel like going out. So she went out with our friends, and then she had the car accident when she was headed back home. And so they contacted me, and I got to the emergency department. Her mom and dad are there. And we, I was trying to keep them standing upright and, making sure everybody was fine. And then we got back there and were able to actually see her. And she didn't remember anything but the shadow.
Yeah.
And the man saying, it's going to be okay. Help is on the way. Everything's going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And so she kept telling me this, and I was like, your guide was with you.
Yeah.
And when you have guides, not all of them are even named. You have beings and spirit guides that you don't even know who they are. You just know they're male or female.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely
and so
male.
she knew he was a male. And then in 2013, I had my car accident. And it was a strange occurrence. I was in South Alabama. I had went by Target to grab. It was a really bright, first hottest day of the year, and I'd stopped by Target. I was like, I'm going to get me some sunglasses. And as I'm walking out, there was an elderly lady walking next to me. And instead of in front of Target, they have stop signs where you're supposed to stop before, to let people pedestrian crossing.
Yeah.
And the guy just was running. So I threw my hand out to help this lady. And, I was like, man, I've never been in a car accident, and I've never been hit by a car. And then there was a tree there, and I said, knock on wood, it's just a reaction that people do.
Mm-hmm.
Within 10 minutes of me getting in my car, making sure the lady had gotten to her car okay, I got into my car, and I'm headed northbound on this highway out of South Alabama, headed back home, and my tire blew.
Oh.
And I went nose to tail 5 times, and I flipped into oncoming traffic. And when I did, I was upside down, and the oncoming car clipped my tail and spun me upside down. So I was completely encased inside an SUV. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. It was all darkness. As I'm upside down in this vehicle, I'm like, nobody can see me. My arm is entrapped outside of the windshield, but that's it, and so I was in this vehicle, and all of a sudden I felt something rubbing my face, like it was rubbing my face. I don't know if it was, if it was like wiping something off of my face or just being there to console me, until a few seconds later went by, and I saw this shadow hand, a dark shadowed hand rubbing my face, and it said, it's gonna be okay. Your friends are on their way. Everything is gonna be okay. your help will be here soon.
Wow.
So almost identical
Yeah.
to Carol's, and it was a man.
Do you
And
think it was the same being?
It definitely is the same. We have the same spirit guide.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And so it's like it's a complete soul connection.
Mhm.
And there's no way that anybody could have known that my friends were on their way, because it was actually the fire department in my hometown that had to drive 13 minutes to where I was to extricate me out of the vehicle.
That's a
It was
long
people that I
time.
had worked with, because I'd worked with Dale County Rescue and Recovery. So I'd worked with most of these individuals. So they were my friends. They were my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no way anybody could have known, because when they got there, they didn't even know it was me inside the vehicle until they started extricating me. And I mean, they're, starting IVs. They were able to get to my right side, and they were able to start IV lines and start running pain meds through me, and all of the things that you do, until I started hearing names of those extricating me, and I was calling out to them individually. I was calling out to Bond and Captain Dean and all of my brothers. And so there was no way that anybody could have known it was them that was coming.
Yeah, because I was lucky. If the police officer wouldn't have been behind me, no one would have found me. I went into the woods.
Yep.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
there till daylight.
Yeah. And it's it's just everything that's happened to us. She had her daughter first, and then she had her son. I had my daughter first, and I had my son. It's just like we were both single moms at one point. Everything that's happened in our lives. She was raised by a Vietnam vet. I was raised by a Vietnam vet. It's just everything that's happened in
Similarities.
this lifetime is so similar.
Mm-hmm.
Just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, same thing. I sent her a text. My husband was driving me back from the wellness center, and this lady pulled out in front of us, and we hit her. And I sent Crystal a text, and not even 5 minutes before that, they almost got hit.
Yep. And it was almost 5 minutes to the exact moment.
Yeah.
And I said, are you kidding me? I just, not even 5 minutes ago, I was inches away from getting hit.
Yeah.
And she got hit instead.
Damn.
Yeah. So it's not always good. It's not always, sunshine and rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be everything. It doesn't matter. It gives us the good and the bad. And we carry these, good things and these bad things together.
Now she yells at me for all my aches and pains.
Yeah, she can hurt. And if she has a headache, I'll end up calling her and be like, you need to take something for that.
Oh, wow. Because, Oh, that's interesting. Now, do you have aches and pains, Carol, because of the accident that you had, or is that something that's not even related?
Oh, yeah. Most of them are from the accident, and then other ones are from being over 50.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
I've had a few body parts replaced or taken out. And So, yeah, but most of them, yes, are from the car accident, because I broke a lot of things and fractured a lot of things.
Wow. Were you in the hospital for a long time?
I was in for
2 weeks.
A few weeks, yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Well, I broke a lot of bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
did not break a lot of bones. I broke one bone, but I lost an ear, and the whole
Really?
my whole left arm was degloved. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You lost a lot of skin and some body parts.
Now, was that the arm that was outside the window?
It was. And it was that I'm actually left hand dominant.
Oh.
And so it was my left hand. So I had to, reteach myself how to eat and how to write and all of these things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, I was in a hospital for almost the same amount of time as Carol. I was a few days shy. Mm-hmm.
But still, just pretty much the same amount of time. There's so many similarities with you two. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if it was
that way since
Makes me
met.
wonder if it was like that with your past lives together as well, if you all had those similarities with the other lives too.
And that's what our friends have told us, Litriana and Blaine. They've told us that our lives have been so similar over the last hundreds of years that it tends to be that way through every lifetime that we've had together. So, but we always tend to find each other in every lifetime. So,
wow,
yeah.
So you said you had lost an ear. Were they able to reconstruct anything, or?
Well, no, they just took it off and left me. And apparently, at some time during my completely intoxicated, drug-induced pain relief moments, I told him I wanted to still be able to wear earrings, because back then I was always dolled up, always had earrings, always had jewelry. My hair was always done.
Yeah.
And they extricated me out of the vehicle. And anyone that knows me, I am very loud. I am very straightforward. And so they got me into the helicopter, out of the vehicle, into the helicopter, because I was life flighted.
Wow.
And so when they got me into the helicopter, they were like, well, you know what we have to do? I was like, you are not cutting off my favorite Under Armour tennis shoes. This is my favorite Alabama t-shirt and my favorite blue jeans, and you are not cutting. And they were like, good night, Crystal. And so they hit me with morphine and Versed and knocked me out.
Wow.
And so during that moment, I told the surgeon that I wanted it to be able to wear my earrings still. So he left me with a little lobe.
Oh.
And that was it. He was like, I was able to save a lobe for you.
Do you wear earrings?
I don't.
Okay.
It's just there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when the two of you were in the hospital, did you have any experiences while you were there?
I don't even remember half of being there.
I was wondering if you remembered.
No, I was mad at my brother because he didn't come visit me, only he did. So.
Oh.
Yes. And I was like, yeah, Buddy was here like a day and a half ago, dude.
Yeah. My kids would say that they would come in to see me, and I'd be like, hey, look in that drawer over there. I walked down to the gift shop and got you some candy. It's over there in the drawer. That never happened. So
no.
Because she couldn't even walk.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, she crushed her bones. So I'm like, you're out of it, dude. Go back to sleep.
So half of the hospital stuff was what people told me.
She was like in the emergency department, and she looked at me and the guy I was dating at the time, and she's like, I'm hungry. I want some biscuits and gravy. And so we went to Hardee's and got her biscuits and gravy, and she doesn't remember it. I had to feed her biscuits and gravy in the emergency department.
I do remember, though, I kept telling you I had to pee.
Yep. And I said, you are peeing a lot.
It would have been funny while you were feeding her. She'd be like, what are you doing?
I don't even be like, I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you asked for it, and I wasted gas and money to get this, so you're going to eat.
Yeah. That's funny.
But we have, all of our experiences tend to be similar or identical. And it's, we've just learned that if something's going to happen, one of us are going to know immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wonder if you're twins in one of the lifetimes, and maybe that's the connection.
Could very well be. Very well be.
Mm-hmm. And it just goes to show as well that you both had this shadow entity, and it just goes to show that not all shadow entities are necessarily evil.
And that's what we try to explain to people. Everyone always thinks that, and we've talked about this before on other shows, and, everyone says the same thing. It's strange because usually people relate dark shadows or darkness to the bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't always mean that, it really doesn't. And we're living proof that there is no really correlation between the two, except for some people have experienced negative things from a dark shadow at one point, and now it's spread like the telephone game.
Yeah.
My
And
dark shadow was a good dude.
Exactly. And so once you have that and it's spoken into your brain through all of these years, your brain is so fickle that it's now in the back of your mind. Darkness is bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we try to make sure that is something that everyone that has investigated with us or knows our story, that dark shadows aren't necessarily bad. We are living proof that they are good ones. So the correlations aren't always accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a child, I used to see the Hat Man a lot, but he was the short one. He was about 4 feet tall. But he, although I was terrified because I was just young, he never paid attention to me. And I have a good psychic friend here that said he was actually protector.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that makes sense.
And there's, and that's one thing I tell a lot of people. A lot of people have seen the Hat Man in their lifetimes. And I've always asked them, I said, did he harm you?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, he just watched.
Yeah, that's what this one did.
He just watches. And again, it could very well be, your higher self, or it could be your spirit guides that are there just watching you, waiting for you to, do something or do something you shouldn't do and be like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. So when did you start the team?
So we started Ghost Hunting Housewives, the Incorporated, as a nonprofit, actually January of this year. We started Ghost Hunting Housewives as a business in 2020. We were like, let's give ourselves a name. We've done this for so long. Let's put a name to it. And by this time, we were both housewives, and we were at home often, just the two of us, or we were traveling together, just the two of us, because our husbands were working. And so, to get away from the normal daily housewife things that we did, we would go to a historic location, and we'd find a location nearby and investigate. So we decided that we were going to start the Ghost Hunting Housewives.
Nice.
And it's people love the name.
I do too. Yes.
And and we try to tell everyone. They're like, "Oh, well, I wish I could be a housewife." I'm like, anybody can be a housewife. Like, we've got even dudes that are housewives, and they claim it. They own it.
Yeah. Can be a tough job.
We also try to focus on giving back.
Yeah.
Crystal's a major history buff, and she studies. Well, she doesn't have to study. She's like a sponge. She's a sponge. But we like to do events and stuff like that, and take the proceeds and give back to these, historical sites or
that's good.
Organizations and things like that. So,
yeah, we do have. We do take a lot of our time. We volunteer a lot of our time in preservation work. Having a master's degree in international, global, and comparative history. I also have certifications in genealogy. So when I go, somebody gives me a name, and I'm running down a rabbit hole with it, and I will go and go and go until I have this entire spider web figured out, in which every strand of the web, I'm like, got something on it. And so we took the love that we have of these historic locations, and we combined it with being able to help. So we volunteer a few times a year at a local state park that is here in Alabama called Blakely State Park, historic Blakely State Park. And it's got a battlefield on it. It has an old town site, an old home site, and it's got a cemetery. And so we take and bring in volunteers, and the park sells tickets for the guided ghost hunt, and all of the proceeds go back to the park. And it's really amazing because every time we go in, we see something amazing that's being done to the park. And we're like, we were able to help make that happen. And so we do love doing that. And, it's really difficult in the South, though, because, people aren't as open to paranormal anything in the South. So we do have a lot of difficulties getting people to trust us, but we want to make sure that when they put their trust in us, they know they can count on us. And, we go the extra mile just to make sure that these places are preserved, and we do everything we possibly can to help these, not just state parks or national parks, but also, private owned residences. So we do a lot with helping fundraise and preservation work. So
I love that. So can you walk us through what happens when you decide to go into either a private residence or a historical location? Walk us through what it's like right from the first minute that you start investigating until the end.
Well, for a lot of teams, especially those who have gifted individuals on it, psychic mediums and all that, they don't like to know the history of the location. For us, the first thing that we do when we're called is we start digging into confirming the information that we have on our psychic level, and then confirm what we're receiving in historical documentation. And we use a lot of archives, historical, genealogical sites, state registries, and, vital records, anything that we possibly can to be able to build a historical timeline for the locations we're going into. And even if that means that we are, discrediting and finding things that are the truth that weren't true when they were on TV shows.
Yeah.
We have had that happen. And so we do that. We do have rules when it comes to our private residences. We do not release those. We've even been asked by our clients from private residences, well, can you share this to social media? And I hand them a thumb drive with all the evidence, all the historical documentation, and I tell them, you are welcome to do with this what you please. We do advise you on why you shouldn't. But we do help in every possible way that we can. And so private residences we have moved away from a lot. And I know a lot of people have over the last a lot of teams have moved away from private residences over the last few years. It's just not as safe in locations as it used to be for a lot of people. And it's not even the spirits, it's the living. So especially for a 2-woman team, I mean, we can take care of ourselves. Like we're always prepared. But we don't want to be put in that situation either. So we have moved from the private residences over the last few years. But when we start a well-known commercial or historical location, we do listen to claims, but we want to draw our own conclusion. We're big on debunking. What could have caused that? Is it, when we took this picture, is it because of the shutter speed on the camera? Was there an object in motion? What caused this? What caused the vibration? Did it come from, an air conditioner unit? Did it come from us walking on wood floors downstairs? So we do our very best to debunk everything we possibly can. And if we can't debunk it and it's still suspicious to us, most of the time we don't release it to public anyways, because we don't want something released that may or may not be related paranormally. So we do, if we can prove that no one caused this, that there was nothing in motion, there was nothing, all of our data doesn't add up to anything that could have been related to human reactions or anything like that, then we will move on to getting other teams and asking them, because we do have a lot of teams that we work with that are like, yeah, we'll listen to it, and they'll help us listen to an EVP or they'll go through video footage with us. So we do have very close teams. We work very closely with Louisiana Spirits. And so we do a lot of work with them over the year or during the year. And so, and when we're not working with Louisiana Spirits, we're working with Sean Daniel at Suncoast Films and Paranormal. So we do try our best to work with other teams throughout the year, because I feel like, if you work well with a team and you can learn something from them and they can learn something from you, and we're just growing in this community together. So,
Agreed.
So we do that a lot, and it's great getting to see how another team works, and then how we all work together. It's just fabulous, and we support each other. Like, if they have an event, we're there. If we have an event, they're doing everything they can to be there. So, Louisiana Spirits, that's our family, that's our para family.
Mm-hmm.
And so they call us up, they need us somewhere, we're there. Same for them. So we have a Paracon that we had this last spring, Cajun Country Paracon. And this was the first annual Cajun Country Paracon, and it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Did an awesome job.
We had Cajun food and donuts, and everything you could want. But it was phenomenal. And so we actually are already working on Cajun Country Paracon 2025 with them. So they are working hard getting all of that put together, and we've got workshops. Sarah Lemos is gonna be there. Searchers will be there. And Southern Heat Paranormal. Mm-hmm. Sean Daniel will be there. Jeremy Leonard from Cajun Demonology and Ghost of Morgan City, 28 Days Haunted. They will be there, him and his wife. So it is just going to be so much fun. We love going to Louisiana's events. So, yeah.
I'm so jealous, because up in Canada, we don't really have Paracons.
Really? I don't know what we would do without Paracons.
I know.
I love it.
I would love to be able to do one here in my area, but I really don't know how to go about it. I have all kinds of people who say they would show up, but I just don't know how to initiate it and make it happen. And
honestly,
it can cost a lot of money too.
Oh yeah,
and it can.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the rules, like what the laws are in Canada versus in the U.S., but a lot of people who put on events and who put who do Paracons or conventions, they get sponsorships, and sponsors actually cover a lot of the cost when you're doing events like that. And so
we could have that here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just starting with finding the location, getting the dates, finding sponsors, making sure that you've got your guests and your vendors and all of that lined up, and go with it. Just start out small. And that's what Louisiana Spirits did last year. They started out really small, and next year is going to be, it's going to be bigger than it was this year. But a lot of the people who start these Paracons off, they start them small.
Mm-hmm.
And they just move up from there, starting it out like a little market and event and moving on up. So
yeah, we have metaphysical shops where you can buy crystals, you can get Reiki done, tarot reading, that sort of thing. But we don't actually have Paracons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be something, like here they're so spread out, but usually it's more of the northern states that do the paranormal conventions, like the New England area. So when I moved from Maryland back south, it was like a culture shock for me, like when I left Alabama in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, moving back to small town America, it was like, wow, I don't have metaphysical markets every weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have, paranormal conventions. I don't have, all of these things that I had grown used to over the years. they don't have that in the South as often. It's like usually I think there's one in like every other state in the South. I think there's one in Florida. Sometimes there's one in Georgia. There's one in Alabama. There's nothing in Mississippi. And then there's one in Louisiana and a couple in Texas. But, you know, it's not as common in metaphysical stores in this, and especially in the Bible Belt. They're not as often. And those that do are frowned upon because it's metaphysical. So, that's not as often. So it was very difficult. I'm like, okay, now where am I going to go to get my crystals or to get my herbs or, you know, anything like that. So, it was very difficult, you know, especially moving around. And then I had to learn my zones and what herbs were in this zone that I could get that would mimic the ones I had in Maryland or Virginia. So,
Yeah, I have a friend and fellow podcaster, Eric Zalagi. I can never pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, brother, if you hear this. Eric Zalagi from Uncomfortable Podcast, and he started Bigfoot and Brews a couple of years ago. He had it at a brewery, his convention, and it was very well received. And he's doing it again this year.
Wow,
something neat to go to.
Yeah, we love the Bigfoots.
Yeah.
We love cryptids, and I was just at Alabama Bigfoot Conference 2 weekends ago.
Yep.
Yeah,
nice.
2 weekends ago, and got to see Martin Groves was there, Daryl Denton, Greg Ogles. There was so many others, and I'm sorry if anybody's listening to this, and I love you guys, all of you. Sidekicks Paranormal was there. So it was a great event. And when we're not going to Paracons, if there's an event like that around, we will go just to support our other friends and, you know, community. So, we do that. Even if it's one that we've gone to in the past and we don't go to it the following year, we're going to go and try our best to support them.
That makes me so happy because you probably recall years ago, the paranormal community was really lots of bullying and backstabbing.
And it still is.
It is, yes. But I find more and more people are stepping up and saying, I'm not putting up with this. And I hate to use the term para-unity, but that's what it is. So many more people are getting together and saying, you know, they're sharing their research, sharing their whatever they caught during investigations, just to get other people's opinions, and I absolutely love hearing about that.
And that's the best part about it. And I mean, you know, we have such a great network. We have Rob and Sarah at Get Haunted, and Danger, and April Bennett. Like, there are so many people out there that support little old us. You know, we're not that big. Like, we don't have, you know, tens of thousands of followers, but we have people like Brandon Cooper, Supernatural Inc. Like, the list could just go on of people who we know we could call them up and they would have our backs. They would always have our six.
Isn't that amazing? I love that.
And it's absolutely phenomenal. And it starts with people like, you know, Rob and Sarah at Get Haunted, you know, that we're not going to tolerate the bullies coming in and treating people wrong. With like Carol and I, we're a 2-woman team, and we've gone to an event and we were not treated well at all. And so, you know, there's a lot of women teams or a lot of women in the paranormal that aren't lifted up the way they should be. You know, there are people who are like, well, what are your credentials? I'm like, am I on a job interview? Like, I'm here to sell equipment. What do you want? You know? But you have those that are there, and they will always have your back. Like, you know, I could call Rob up or Sarah up at Get Haunted and tell them, look, we need this help. And they'd be like, we got you. We've got you. And, you know that they mean it because their energy they're sincere.
Yeah.
And you still have the ones that are there treating, you know, people wrongly or, you know, stirring up problems, but the tables are turning, and it's people that are like Louisiana Spirits and Carol and myself, you know, Brandon Cooper, Get Haunted, those are the type of people that are shifting the tables and saying, putting their foot down and saying enough's enough. We're not tolerating this anymore. And we all come together, and it's a big thing, and it's a big change. We've got even urban explorers, Vince. He's put his foot down and saying we need to have something that is for not just women of the paranormal. We need something that are for LGBTQ plus. We need something for, those of different races.
Yep.
We need something for everyone, and where everyone can come together and be accepted. That's the type of community that we're working on building and changing those tables around, and making sure that the ones that can't play nice or can't be nice can sit in timeout.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Because I find with the paranormal, it doesn't matter if it's cryptids, ghosts, UFOs, whatever the topic, around the world, it doesn't matter your nationality, religion, skin color, whatever, everyone's having these experiences. And they might be called something different, and the appearance might be just a little different, but everyone is having these. So why can't we just band together and work together and discuss these?
And that's it.
Yeah.
That is absolutely it. And we are grateful for the individuals that we have, the groups that we have. We are so thankful and blessed that we have these type of individuals that are there to help us. And, even though we've been in the field, there are people out there who have been in the field a lot longer than us. And, we learn from others, and they're like, well, we've tried this the last few times. And, I'm like, we haven't tried that. Let's try that and see what kind of response that we get. And it's not just, paranormal. It's not just cryptids. It's not just, UFOs. We've got people who are actors and actresses out here who have played in shows like The Walking Dead, but also experienced paranormal paranormal activity most of their lives. And some of them even have gifts. We've got Sonia Thompson. She was in the first 5 seasons of The Walking Dead.
Oh, wow.
Fabulous woman. We absolutely love Sonia, and she supports us. But she's also told us of her experiences through life and the things that she's experienced, and, moving into the paranormal and researching historical locations. You've got Santiago Cirillo, who has been, he was Julio in The Walking Dead. He's been on the show Nashville, and he has a movement called the High Nation, and it's supporting women and uplifting women and anti-bullying and veterans and everything that people need. We are actually going to be in Paragould, Arkansas for his event here in the next few weeks. And so we will be in Paragould, Arkansas at the High Nation Horror Show. Now, it's not just paranormal. Like Keith Age is going to be there. We'll be there, and a few other small vendors in the paranormal. But we're little people, and we're being brought in, and made like we belong. We find a place. We have a place, and we have a voice now. And it's awesome because, it's all for a cause, and it's not just the paranormal. We've got like the horror show that we've got. I mean, Tony Moran's going to be there. We've got like big horror show actors and actresses that are going to be there. We've got Blue Bodie's going to be there. Who else is? We got Inhumane Wrestling out of Arkansas is going to be there, and there's going to be a slasher party. That's going to be
that's cool.
And then it's going to be a group of individuals coming together for a cause. And the High Nation, it means a lot to us. And we wear our High Nation shirts, and we support the movement because it is doing a lot of things and helping a lot of people. So we will be doing that next month, and it's going to be a lot of fun in Paragould, Arkansas. So
It really warms my heart how the paranormal community is coming together.
it is amazing.
Yep.
It truly is. And there's people from all walks of life. And, again, putting their foot down and saying, we're going to change this. We're not going to allow, people to walk all over somebody or to talk down to them or to talk inappropriately to them. We're changing this. And we're doing it. And I'm proud of each and every one of them. And we will continue to battle on. And we tell anyone and everyone, if you have a problem, contact us, reach out to us. It doesn't even have to be about the paranormal.
Yeah.
If you need us and if you're at a location and you don't feel comfortable and we're close by, call us. We'll be there.
Nice.
We will do everything that we possibly can to help out. Even if it's, you feel uncomfortable due to a living person,
Yeah.
call us. We are natural born protectors and we will do everything we possibly can to support somebody.
You ladies are amazing.
Thank you.
So before we sign off and I get you to tell us where we can find you, I want to know from both of you, if you had a chance to investigate anywhere in the world, where would you want to go?
Oh, that is so difficult because I've been to a lot of places. I would want to go back to Scotland.
Oh,
And
nice.
I couldn't even really say like which location because I've been to a few, but my heart is longing to get back to Scotland, get back to where my ancestors are from.
Yeah, my grandfather was born there. Yeah.
And she wants to go there so bad. Now I'm like, I guess I do too.
And I do. And so if it isn't Scotland, then it would be my secondary would be Spain. I would want to go to where my ancestors came from Spain over. So I believe strongly in walking the paths of those that came before us and doing everything you possibly can to learn about where you came from. So their energy and their spirits are still roaming the battlefields of Scotland or, roaming the ways in Spain. It's just like, that's where I want to go. It's calling to me. So.
Nice. Carol, how about you?
Well, like I was saying, she wants to go so bad. Now I'm like, I think I want to go too. I really don't have a set location. I kind of go with the flow here in my older age.
She's just like, okay, tell me where to be, Crystal, and that's where we'll go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to definitely plan on getting over across the pond and visiting our friends over there. And we were on Tommy's show last week.
Yeah, Tommy, my brother.
Yes,
love him.
So we were on his show last week. And so we promised that we were going to make the trip across the pond and we're going to come over there and have some amazing fun with our friends over there in the UK.
I'd love to do that. When you do, you have to send me pictures of all of you together.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
We will.
Nice. So can you tell the listeners where they can find you?
Well, you can find us on all of our social media. We have TikTok, Facebook, X, Twitter, for those that haven't moved to X. We have Instagram. All of our social medias, Ghost Hunting Housewife Inc. You can find a Linktree in all of our bios, and that will take you to any events that we have coming up. We are working on having a women's paranormal retreat here in the fall.
Nice.
And I'm securing those dates, but we do know that Kim Sage will be there. So she will be, as soon as we get the dates and get everything ironed out, I will be releasing that information. So we will have 16 spots available for women of the paranormal to come in and spend 2 days. We're going to be having cabins. We're going to be having intuitive writing workshop. There are going to be dinner cruise with seafood buffets one night and barbecue another night with 2 nights of investigations. So we will be working on that, and all of our events will be connected to all of our social media outlets. We'll have our Linktree with our events in our store. So Carol has our paranormal equipment that she makes, and we are moving into selling that on public marketplace. We will release that information more so when we get it secured in stone.
That's impressive.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We dabble in a little bit of everything.
Nice. Nice. Well, thank you so very much, Crystal and Carol. It was such a pleasure having you ladies on.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again, or
definitely
have you over on Paranormal Coffee Talk.
Yes, I would love that. I'd love that. Yes, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed it.
I did as well. Thank you. Well, we've made it to the end of another episode. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, take care of each other. And if you'd like to be on the show or have questions and comments, just drop me an email, paranormalheart13@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you.
Paranormal Heart would like to extend a special thank you to purpleplanet.com for supplying the music for the show. The views and opinions expressed on Paranormal Heart are those of the host and participants.
Paranormal Heart Podcast.